Okay, so after you studied and restudied that exercise and worked on your time with metronomes, without metronomes, here's a good exercise that I found that will allow you to see how good your internal time really is. Because if we have a tendency to rush like I do, or a tendency to drag, this exercise will show you. So this is a great exercise to develop your internal clock. So what I do, I have a 4-bar drum machine that we're going to turn on in a minute, and we're going to need, you're going to volunteer for this, correct? Yeah. Great. Right? So what we're going to just have you do is come up with a groove to play with this 4-bar drum beat. Now the key here, and it may not make sense yet, but the key here is to make your groove simple. The goal here is to come up with a groove you don't have to think about so that you can find the pulse. I forgot to say this. There's a pulse that runs through any rhythm. There is a pulse. And whether you can audibly hear that pulse, there might be space going by. The pulse is still there, and I believe it can still be felt, even when it's not there. My goal with this exercise is when the pulse is not there, still find it, still feel it, and lock into it. So come up with a simple line, because if you have to think about your line, you won't be able to feel that pulse. Because sooner or later, measures of this drum pattern are going to drop out. And we're going to see if you can still feel that pulse, okay? So right now, Anthony's going to start this, feel the pulse, and play something to lock to it. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Right. Very nice. Keep going. That's a nice repetitive pulse, right? And he's locking into it. So we're going to move this kind of quickly, through this kind of quickly so you can understand the concept. But if you were doing this on your own, you would stay with this groove until you're sure you can feel the pulse. Then when you're ready, what I did is the 4th bar of this pattern. Right. See if you can keep the pulse. Right. Now, you would really stay there for a long time, but for here, we're going to move on. Now, here's the key, too. No one can even tap their foot. Because if you tap your foot in that space, he'll play to your pulse. We want him to develop his own pulse. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, now we're going to move forward. 1 bar of drums, 3 bars of space. Perfect. Right, that's all right. Just pull back just a hair. But these are tendencies that we can find out from this machine, that I have a slight tendency to rush. All right, now once you're comfortable with this, and you want to stay on these exercises for a long time, keep going. One beat. You gotta find that pulse. You're on it, you're on it. Now, isn't that easy? Right? Even a little break like that. Too easy. When you do this exercise and you get to where you can play to 1 beat, playing with a drummer's too easy. It's like a piece of cake. Here's the cool thing, keep playing, right? We always complain about drummers with bad time, right? Always complain. But for me, it's a fun game. I enjoy drummers with bad time. All you want to do is lock into the pulse, right? And so it doesn't matter. Just find the pulse. It doesn't matter what this drummer's doing, right? It doesn't matter if the drummer speeds up or slows down. If you find his pulse, it doesn't matter, and it won't matter, right? Don't listen to the whole beat, find the pulse. That pulse can be 8th note, 16th, it's wherever you feel it. And there's no drummer in the world with bad time like this. But no matter what that drummer does, he'll never lose you. And it'll become like a roller coaster. It'll become like a game. Great. Okay, let me show you something real quick. That's wonderful. Now that's just with a groove. We're just grooving. What I recommend is you go through this whole exercise again from the beginning and you start adding in a little ad-libs, because that's where we lose it. We can all groove and keep time. It's when we ad-lib that our attention goes back to the bass and away from the groove, and we usually rush. So with the same exercise, you want to start adding in fills. You want to get to the place where you can freely solo, as crazy as you want, to one beat. When you can freely solo and keep the time to one beat, then you've got great internal time. So I'm just going to try this. Sometimes I have good days at this, sometimes I have bad days. But I'm going to have Anthony change the machine, and I'm just going to play a little bit. I'll probably progressively get more and more complicated until I'll take you to the very final stage that I like to use this exercise for.
I'll give you regular drum beat first.
Yeah. Earlier I talked about forgetting about technique. You gotta forget the technique. You gotta feel the groove. This is where all of this comes together, okay? So my first thing is I'm just gonna find the pulse. And I'm gonna play something that I'm really comfortable with, which is thumb in the key of E. As I get comfortable, I'm going to ad-lib just a little more. When I know I'm ahead, I just think about pulling back a hair. Okay, a little bit of high.
Ooh, hello.
Way ahead. So I gotta pull back a hair now and find it again. That tells me something. That takes thought. So I gotta not think about it and do it. Then I'll never lose it. Woo! Shoot. Now, I'm gonna let that go. Once I'm cool and I know I can lock in regardless of what I'm doing, okay, I'm gonna try not to have any idea where it is. Right now, I'm totally guessing. I've lost the pulse completely. And if I can guess and get close, you know I can get close when I know where it is. So I'm gonna guess that it's here. Okay, I find that over the years, I'm usually a quarter note off. And I'm serious about this. I have no idea. I'm trying to forget where it is. Quarter note behind. And this is just something that I'll do at my own house. I'll walk around the house and see if I can come back in the room and go, boom. You know? And if I can guess where it is and be even close, playing with the drummer is a piece of cake. Quarter note off. Usually a quarter note off. But if I can guess and be a quarter note off, just imagine how good of an internal clock I really do have. So I recommend you practice this, okay? It's a fun exercise. Cool?
That's good.
1, 2, ready, go. Yeah.
I like it with the low B.
That was nice.